Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you inky savages are joining us for episode number 189 of the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment Podcast. Thanks again for joining us, and today we have a very exciting episode because we have on today the Juicy Broads.
Yay! Hello,
Yay!
hello.
Yeah, so we're really excited. I want to thank my good buddy and my co-host, Mr. Odd Oink, for setting this up. I've been very busy. I know the uploads have been kind of not entirely on time, but I'm going to work on that today. I've been busy all week, but we're going to have the next episode that I'm going to upload is going to have Bryce Gillette on, and that was a couple of weeks ago. Then followed by G from Karis Custom, and then what you're listening to right now with the Juicy Broads. But before we get started with this week's episode of the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment Podcast, I do have to talk about some very cool stuff. Starting with the new GirologioMade.com website. It is live. Visit the new Girologio website to get some of the best pen cases in the industry, trusted by many industry professionals as their choice when traveling to pen shows and events. Visit GirologioMade.com and experience the new Girologio shopping experience. Hey, Tom, there's some Benu stuff here. Do we have to talk about that too, or is that for the next week?
Let's save it. Let's put it in the can, because there's just too much to talk. Girologio pen cases, if you've got a massive collection, they've got one that has a capacity for 96 pens, no lie. So for all of you that have multiple hundreds of pens, you get a couple of those bad boys, you could load up all of your pens in one spot and be able to bring them wherever you'd like.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's part of the sponsorship read. There's a Benu read, but I'm going to save that for next week. And there's also the friggin' Rainforest pen by Retro 51, exclusive to Luxury Brands of America. It's still there, meaning it hasn't sold out. So please buy it to save the Rainforest, and so I don't have to read it in 3 weeks. That'd be great. Okay, they're great pens. It has a frog on the finial. It's brushed with bronze-looking trim, and it's cool stuff. So just get it, so I don't have to read it anymore. I'm sick of reading that stupid read. Great pen. Just buy it, okay?
Someone should clip together all of the times that particular read had happened with the Rainforest pen, and then just see the devolved sense of, bravado about this particular pen. It just goes down to just buy the freaking pen.
Just buy it already.
That Rainforest ain't gonna save itself. Come on.
Right, come on. Some money goes to the Rainforest. None comes to me. But I'll tell you what does come to me is when you check out Gold Spot Pens using the affiliate link, the only link you ever need to use when you're purchasing fountain pen accessories such as inks, inkwells, anything related to fountain pens, paper. Go to goldspotpens.com using the affiliate link and use coupon code. What's the coupon code,
Titanium.
Tom? Titanium. It is still titanium.
Yes.
Use coupon code Titanium at checkout for an additional savings on most of the products on the Gold Spot website. Some don't apply due to the fact that some brands are a little bit just too snobby to allow discounts. No, I'm just kidding. I always say that just to bust chops. But it is there for you, coupon code Titanium, and the link will be in the description below. Make sure you check it out. So I want to get started with this week's episode because we have a lot to talk about, a lot of catching up, me and Vanessa, and getting to know Miss Lori over here, who has fantastic hair, by the way. That really looks fantastic. So before we get started, I want to give you guys a quick disclaimer. This podcast is not scripted and therefore will contain potty mouth words, usually from me, not really from Tom. Definitely from Vanessa. Yeah, definitely Vanessa. I think that's the consensus here. So, be forewarned. You have been warned. Now, on to the podcast.
The PenBoyRoy Entertainment Podcast. Stay savage.
So today, I'm really excited. Now, was it before we were in the green room, Lori, we were talking, and you had mentioned something about Vanessa always demonstrating a weapon on the show before. Was that a joke?
Actually, it's not. One of the things Vanessa and I love about our pen show is that it's very spontaneous. The whole how it all happened was spontaneous. We both agreed at the start that we would just roll with things and see where they took us. So where a lot of shows start out with like a pen check, like, like on Apple Boom, where people usually share their pen at the start of a show, we said, we're really into handbags. So why don't we show like an everyday carry, like the pen, maybe a pen case in our handbag, like, so that's what we started our show with. And then Vanessa's everyday carry one day was like a hatchet, and one day it was a pocket knife.
I still have
So
it right
every
here.
week, so her everyday carry has turned into like a pen, a purse, and a weapon. So I have not participated. So
Oh.
I need some recommendations on like a pocket knife I can get, because like a girl from Boston, like I'm not into weapons. I don't know. But now like Vanessa's turning me around on this. So, but
Okay,
no
so
joke. We start
if we're
every
going-
episode of Vanessa.
if
People
we're
are
gonna
just- she brought brass knuckles one time.
Wow. I seen those brass knuckles, but if we're going to talk about a pocket knife, this is the one that I like. This is Microtech. This is a stiletto knife, so that means it has forward assist and, reverse. I think when it comes to out the front stiletto type knives, Microtech makes the best ones. It has a spring mechanism
Writing this down.
that does not put strain on the spring when it's fully extracted or when it's fully retracted. So
Is
it
there
also
a nail
has
file on there too, Roy? Like I feel like I probably need like a Swiss Army or something.
yeah, no, I mean
I just
you
need
could
a knife
file
to
it.
open my mail. Okay.
This
Maybe peel an apple.
this will open the shit out of an envelope, right? What I like about it also is, if anybody can see, do you see the center of the blade right there?
Oh, you can like see through it. There's little dots.
Yeah, so that's called a blood groove. So that way, if you need to like gut
Gut
some
something.
animal, or when you stab it, it fills in that blood groove and it doesn't create suction, so you can pull the knife out easier. So, yeah. And what's really special about this is when you need to
You have a
open an
blood groove?
envelope, it really works.
Okay.
So
What kind do you have there?
my daily carry item is this brand new pen holder that I have. It's a Chuck Taylor All-Star, and it could hold any pen.
Look at that. Perfect.
And I've decorated it with a couple of pins. One from Shopify. There's a little Shopify bag, and then there's one from Sailor, a little Sailor nib on there. But this used to be my keychain, part of my keychain, but then the
Oh, wow.
top had frayed off and it fell off, but I still want to keep it. And the ladies had convinced me that this should now be
I think you're on
a pen holder. So
I think
now
so.
it is sitting on my desk as a pen holder.
You know what I think is a great pen holder? Holds way more pens, like an actual shoe, right? Just put an actual shoe on your desk and just shove as many pens as you can get into that shoe. You can get like 60 pens in there.
Yeah.
Is that
Right.
the only way you can make a Noodler's pen smell worse than it already does?
Oh, well, you have to
Yeah.
use one of my workout shoes then.
Or does
Yeah.
the fact that the terrible smell of the shoe just negate, like it's like two forces just butting heads with each other, and then all of a sudden both things smell great?
Like lavender.
It's like pouring
Oh,
gasoline
neutralize
on a
it.
fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Good point.
Right. So, anyway, enough about that. I'm excited to have you guys on the show. Vanessa, a very good friend of mine. We always, talk and bullshit about pretty much anything, ranting about stuff. And
Yeah.
I always thought she'd be great to have her own show. And now we have this lovely, beautiful lady, Lori, who is part of, you guys have this show going on. So I want to know, because I've been so busy, I haven't been able to stay on top of like even Instagram and whatnot. You guys might have noticed that I don't post as much. It's just because I'm out most of the times. So how did this duo happen? How did this come to be?
Vanessa, you want to take it?
I could take this one.
Vanessa, do you think you could move closer to your mic?
Sure. Is this good?
Just so that the audio levels.
Can you hear me better now?
Not particularly. Your mic is shit. All
You
right.
get
Well,
a nice close-up of your red light.
Listen, if you want better sound and better internet, you're just gonna have to finance that for me, Roy. That's just how it's gonna have to be.
yeah.
That's, you know-
Or Lori could tell the story. No, I'm
can
kidding.
tell
Go
the
ahead.
story.
No,
want me
let's
to
let's
tell
let's
it?
hear let's hear it.
Okay. So I didn't know Lori very well, and I got this really random message from her about 2 months after I met her. I met her at first at the Orlando Pen Show. And so we were, we actually got along pretty well at the Orlando Pen Show. We
I
didn't know
took
each
a
other very
wax
well, but
stealing class.
yes, she took my workshop. seemed to enjoy it. And so yeah, you know, we ran into each other there and kind of got acquainted. And yeah, it was like about 2 months later, I got this message from Lori saying, hey, I have this idea. I don't know if you're into this or not. If you're not, it's no big deal. But what if we did like a podcast together? And I was like, well, that's interesting. And, you know, my latest thing has been, why not? You know, why not? Let's try it. Let's be spontaneous. Let's do more stuff and have fun. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. I'm curious to see, you know, what happens with this. So in a way, you know, we're two women who do not know each other at all. And we have been getting to know each other every week for the last couple of months through this Monday podcast. It's almost like we have our own pen meetup every week. And I've gotten to know Lori more and more. And it's actually been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun with this. And I think people, you know, viewers and participants are really enjoying what we're doing. So,
Yeah, that's true. I think my text message to Vanessa was something like, I know you've known me for like 10 minutes, but I have a really good idea. I had this thought that I just felt like there were a lot of men in pens. And, you know, I was watching, and I enjoy everybody, but I remember watching some of Vanessa's, like, pen reviews, and I always thought she was funny as shit. And she was, like, real dry sense of humor, and and I liked that she liked a lot of feminine pens, like, she's kind of a girly girl, and I related to that, and so I was always drawn to her videos, and then she's very active on Instagram, and then I saw that she was working with Esterbrook and doing this wax seal workshop down in Orlando, and that was the first pen show that I attended. So we kind of hit it off, and I just couldn't get her out of my head, because as far as like who would make a great partner, I actually had a pen podcast before. My full-time job is I thrift for a living, and I'm a reseller, so I have a YouTube channel called Lori's Boston Found. So that has always been like my thrift channel, and I had a podcast called Thrifter's Villa. And I was just kind of leaning more into YouTube, so I left the podcast. But I kind of missed that interaction, and I was pretty enthusiastic about pens, which I'm relatively new to. I'm just like about a year and a half into the hobby. And I just thought Vanessa would be a great partner. And yeah, she was just like, sure. And every week she just says yes to things. And so it's kind of like taken on its own life. We had a viewer who named us. We had no name for the show. We didn't intend to be a live show. Oh, we just lost her for a second.
Yeah, her internet
We didn't
kind of
intend
sucks.
for our show to be live, but we had technical difficulties. And then we just said, this is ridiculous. Let's go live. And we did. And then it was on my YouTube channel, Time with Tata, my other YouTube channel. And then after it got rolling, we said, why don't we just have our own YouTube channel dedicated to our live shows? And so we meet every Monday. And I think Juicy Broads kind of sets the tone for it. You know, we don't take ourselves too seriously, and we kind of talk a lot about just the fun of the hobby. I wouldn't say that either one of us are very technical. We don't know what pens weigh or things like that, but I feel like there's a lot of content out there for that, and we just kind of love the hobby and just wanted to build our own little community. So that's where we're at, and yeah, it's been since before Christmas. So we had fun. Well, whenever when was the Orlando Pen Show? I guess early September. So maybe we started sometime in November.
I think it was.
You said you've only been into fountain pens for since a year and a half ago? How did you get into it?
Well, I'm active in the planner community, and one of the content creators, Coffee Monsters Co. She's like a 23-year-old, and I think she's in Toronto. And she does a lot of planning videos, and she never shows her face. It's always like, you know, she has this really soothing voice, and she's really into Hobonichis. And so I would like watch her content all the time. And she did an episode where she was graduating from college, and she bought herself a Pelican M800. And she was just raving about fountain pens. And I was like, well, this is kind of cool. And I was just interested. So it was
nice.
like I just, dove in head first unintentionally. And yeah, it's just kind of no turning back now. I really enjoy it. Love it.
Well, what was
Tumbling down that
what
rabbit
was-
hole.
After you saw this young lady graduating and she buying herself the Pelican 8 M800. What was your first fountain pen?
I ordered a few. At first, the first one that everybody recommended was the Kakuno, but as soon as I got it in, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is great, but it was just kind of juvenile. And I also ordered a Metropolitan, which felt a little kind of stuffy. Like it worked well, but I didn't like really connect with it. And then I think the first thing that I really loved was, which I thought was a huge investment, was the TWSBI Eco Rose Gold, white rose gold.
Oh, okay.
That was like my big $50 pen that I was like, well, this ought to do it. Yeah.
Are you going to come here?
And that was
That's
just
cool.
good.
So, did you buy all three at the same time, or did you try the Kakuno first, then you're like, not for me, try the Metropolitan, you're like, didn't really connect, and then get to the TWSBI, or was it all
Yeah,
at
I
the
think
same
I ordered
time?
those two on Amazon, and I couldn't get it. So, like, I would, I have very little patience, so I wanted it here the next day. And I think the TWSBI, I think I may have gotten from Goulet, so it was going to take a few days. So, like, I had the other ones come in, but I was already ready for the TWSBI. But I was a little intimidated by the filling mechanism and all that. And then it arrived, and I had no ink. So I went to a store in Cambridge, Mass, and I picked up a bottle of Pelican Brilliant Brown to go with my thing. And yeah, that was it. I was really excited about that. The pen came in, and I like looked at my watch. It was like a 40-minute drive to Cambridge. Right in Harvard Square, there's a pen shop there. So I went in and got my first bottle of ink. And yeah, now I'm like absolutely obnoxious, and I need to slow my roll big time. But
Yeah,
fun.
it's definitely one of those things where once you get started, you start buying stuff. Like, if you told me I need to go grocery shopping and it's 12 minutes away, I'd be like, oh my God, such a long drive. But if you told me I needed a bottle of ink and the closest place is like an hour away, in my head, I'm like, it's only an hour.
Not bad
Right?
at all.
Yeah,
No,
not bad.
I justify things the same way, yes.
Right. I wonder if Vanessa's going to jump back in. What's going on with her?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I don't know.
Every time
I feel
I'm
terrible,
recording
but,
something,
good things
Her
come
internet-
out of our technical difficulties, but yeah, it's not good.
they
Yeah,
can't
her
hear
internet
me.
is like carrier pigeon level speeds, right?
I don't know why.
So if this is recording right now.
It's so vintage.
Yeah, she's into vintage. What can I say?
She is, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
She's-
So you have another podcast and YouTube show you were talking about, right? What was that called?
Well, the podcast was called Thrifters Villa, but that I haven't been a part of Thrifters Villa. I left about 2 years ago. But the
Okay.
partner who I started with, she continues on. She got a new partner, and I was just finding like YouTube was making me money and the podcast was not, and the time commitment was the same. So I just wanted to. Oh, here she's coming back. I wanted to just kind of lean into that. Hello, we missed you.
Sorry.
We were talking so
back.
much shit about you.
Yeah.
Oh, so
wait till
much.
you see the replay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You gotta
No,
see
she
that
was
on
just
YouTube.
she was actually telling us that her first two fountain pens weren't for her. It was the Pilot Metropolitan and the Pilot Kakuno, and she got it
I
on
heard all
Amazon.
that.
But then she
So I wasn't here that whole
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
No, that's
No?
weird. So you heard all of it.
I did. I thought I was here,
Yeah.
and my daughter. Every time I'm recording something, I always get interrupted. My daughter walks in. She even walked in. I'm sitting here going, "Go away." I was like, "This isn't my show. Go away." You know, where I can't just stop and announce
Usually
that we have
visits us on Mondays.
That's what I
love
usually
a
say.
little
Look,
link to the
everybody, we have a
parents.
special guest. It's my daughter, you know, and I make her come over here, and she's like, "Oh, hey, this is the latest thing that I'm wearing today."
She's all 18 and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so y'all missed all that.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
well, yeah, that whole interaction with your daughter. Yeah, we
We're
missed
sorry.
it.
Well, good, because I was just
Yeah.
like, "Go away."
So Lori was, as you heard, as everybody heard, Lori, she was on a different YouTube channel, the YouTube podcast. So all this is very familiar to you, except for the whole fountain pen aspect, right? Like
Yes.
talking about fountain pens.
Yeah, so like my thrifting channel has been around for almost 6 years. And what was happening was I would want to talk about nice handbags, or I would want to talk about planners, and like my views would tank. And like clearly that's why so many people kind of do like a vlog channel. They have their main channel and a vlog channel. So that's what it started out as. And I was talking about like Weight Watchers recipes and thrift with me and go to Trader Joe's with me. And then I would talk about planners and I would talk about handbags. So I was kind of all over the map. I would do vlogs in Boston. And I really didn't really know what that channel was going to look like, but I just wanted some creative freedom on my second channel. So I have Lori's Boston Found. My last name is Tata, so it's Time with Tata is that channel. So it didn't start out as a fountain pen YouTube channel, but that is what it has evolved into. And now it's just fountain pens, and I sprinkle some planning stuff. Like I went to Japan in August into September, and I happened to be at the Hobonichi store for the Hobonichi launch just by chance.
Nice.
And so I filmed there and uploaded in Tokyo, and that was really fun, and was able to visit some of the stationery shops there. So yeah, now I feel bad because some of the people who signed on for like Weight Watchers recipes, they're just getting, pen content. So it's been an evolution over there, but it feels really good. We're having fun. Yeah.
So when it came to like purchasing fountain pens for the first time, and once you started getting addicted to them and whatnot, what kind of research did you find yourself doing? Like, how would you go about deciding on buying a pen? What was the process for you? Did you just find stuff that looked nice, or how deep did you go into reviews and stuff?
I went pretty deep. I mean, I feel like I still am always looking for content to consume. And I think that's part of the reason why I enjoy my time with Vanessa so much. I watched a lot of Pencast videos. I watched a lot of Tom Otto in Gold Spot channel all the time. I watch his weekly Right Stuff, and yeah, just like anybody there were certain content creators who I connected with. And actually, I remember when I found you, Roy, I was like, this guy swears. He's really fun. Like, you were in a sense somewhat of an inspiration for our like female version. Like, I think we kind of keep it a little bit more PG, but not for any reason. I just think we
really
just do
Vanessa.
Our own thing. Well, she can be all like proper and preppy when she wants to, right?
I try to be.
Yeah, but I really wanted like, what, hun?
I said I try to behave. I don't want to offend everybody. Not everybody.
No. She's good. She's got thick skin too. She doesn't, she's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, she does.
Yeah, so it was mostly YouTube, Roy. I mostly went because we had Apple Boom in Boston, and we had this other place in Boston where I got the ink. I can't even think of the name of it. Bob Slate's stationery store. And it wasn't until just this past December that I discovered another store that carried fountain pens. So there wasn't a lot around. So I mostly relied on things that I saw online. My son, like I mentioned, lives in Hoboken, so I visited Yoseka on one of our trips because they're in Brooklyn. And then I went to the Fountain Pen Hospital a couple times. I interviewed one of the guys there. I also, on my Time with Tata channel, I like to visit shops and interview shop owners. So Daisy from Yoseka did like a little interview with me, and last week I was in Chicago, and Brian talked to me from Atlas Stationery. So yeah, so I kind of enjoy like bringing people inside stores and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
yeah,
It's very cool.
What's funny is a lot of times I have this, like, I have a favorite TV show, right? And when I recommend it to friends who haven't seen it and then they go and watch it, I'm all excited and almost jealous about the fact that they're watching it for the first time and experiencing it for the first time. So in a sense, I feel the same way about you, Lori. I'm like, it's like that. I'm excited about your first experiences with fountain pens and like what you've seen and what you've, done since you started and stuff. So as a newer fountain pen, well, not really new, 1.5 years is a good amount of time to like, saturate yourself, but
still
you're
relative
actually,
to the people in the room, Yes, I'm on the newer side.
but your memory is the most fresh when it comes to like the first fountain pen stuff, the experiences, right? So as a new person, you started off with Amazon, probably like everybody else does, right? Because Amazon is so easy. You hit order, and if it comes after 48 hours, you're calling and making complaints,
Yes.
right? So how did you discover Goulet pens?
I think from their Pencast.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I remember seeing Daisy on videos. She used to do this thing like she had CY on her show, and the little episode was called "What's in My Pen Case," And I honestly thought she was like a teenager, and because she's so youthful looking, and she had like her friends on, and they were sharing their pen case, and it was months of catching videos with her before I realized that she was the owner of Yoseka and put the two together. So yeah, so I think the Pencast was pretty influential as far as it was a weekly show that I always tuned into, and a lot of Vanessa's reviews. I watched a little bit of Fig Boot, but I don't know that the connection was quite there. He was good for like detail-oriented stuff. And then the girl who introduced me to it, she kind of switched back to mostly planning videos. So the girl from Canada has only done maybe 3 or 4 videos on fountain pens. Yeah.
That's cool. So you were, but how did you get to the Pencast? Right? Was that was obviously after you started buying fountain pens and stuff like that, right? And I remember myself when I was, before I started becoming an influencer and being on social media and doing YouTube, the idea of looking for a podcast on pens never even jumped into my head. It seemed so specific and so like niche that I didn't even think that there would be one and whatnot. I fell into Goulet pens because I was looking for reviews on certain pens and I was Googling stuff like the best gold nib pen, the best flex nib pen and stuff like that. And that's how I ended up with the Goulet, and that's how I ended up with seeing Gold Spot. And so how did you like, what made you decide to become a pen influencer?
I felt like there was a need for more women talking about specifically fountain pens. There is another, like Gourmet Pens, they do a great job. They're a woman duo. But Aziza, and they were just on a podcast. Like, they don't show their face on YouTube. I think they have. I mean, I know Aziza has Gourmet Pens, and I think they've done a few. But I think I was just like hungry for it. And like Karina Loves to Plan is a woman out of Canada. She was somebody that I watched a lot. She does a lot of pen reviews. But I really like the conversation. And CY has a podcast as well, but they don't release stuff quite as much. So I don't think I looked specifically for podcasts, but when I kind of got bored of the reviews, I enjoy the conversation. And that's actually why. That's why. It's fun to hear people talk about it.
Yeah, I actually slowed down with my reviews recently because I feel like I enjoyed doing them in the beginning because I was new to the whole thing. And then it turns out, like, as time goes on, I created a format that was like chapter based. So I always started off with background information, neutral information. I called the neutral zone, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then high noon, because one of my favorite movies of all time is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Clint Eastwood. So I was just doing that. I created a format, and then I found after a while, I know that there's intricacies about a lot of fountain pens, and they're very different, but I feel like after a while, you can only say so much about a fountain pen, especially when a lot of them are typically Jowo nibs or Bach nibs, and they're, ink, they're cartridge or converters, or they're piston fillers. After a while, no matter how different they are, there's enough similarities where if you review one, you kind of reviewed them all, right? Especially with brands like Esterbrook. If you review an Esty, when they come out with a new color, what are you going to do? Just review the color?
Right.
People can kind of see that, right? And as much as fountain pens have been innovated over the years, how much more innovation can you innovate a fountain pen?
Right.
Right? So I do like to talk about the hobby, but after a while, the analysis of the fountain pen just became redundant in a way.
It is fun
So-
when I remember to this day, I don't think there's a ton of information out there about Scribos. And so when I was looking for a Scribo feel, I actually got one of my Scribos at Gold Spot using Paris as my 10% code, right? Was it Paris at one point?
Yep.
That
Paris
must
was
have been
last year's, yeah.
I
Okay.
was gonna say that must have
Yeah,
been
but I
last year.
feel, yeah. But I think that there are certain pens that I do seek out. Like when I was looking to buy my 149, I was looking at videos specifically on 149. One of the things I love about Vanessa's reviews, she doesn't really give too much of an opinion. It's more like, let's take a look at this. And she'd always play her fun music, and then she'd have people get very passionate about their pens, but it's also such a personal thing that, like, if somebody loves an extra fine nib, that's great for them. But that's not really my vibe, but I enjoy hearing about their stuff. But I like that Vanessa just kind of took a look at it. So if there was a specific pen, a specific brand, she usually covered it. And they were quick videos, and I enjoyed them, and she was funny. And I found myself ending up on her YouTube channel quite a bit because I think we had similar tastes. Or she just reviewed so many things that she usually had something there. But yeah. I do like the conversation quite a bit.
Would you like to have a conversation about a controversial topic in the pen community that is recent?
Is it the Lamy lilac ink?
Oh, so I heard about this, right?
It made the New York Times. It's that big.
Really?
Fuck out of here.
Oh.
Seriously?
It did.
I gotta look that shit up.
There's so
I'll
much.
share the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe
Wait a
it
minute.
was the New York
So I,
Times.
like I
This is
said, I've been
what's
busy.
funny. This is so newsworthy. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
So-
it's loaded.
To recap, I will give a summation. That way we could kind of have the groundwork for further discussion. Is that
Okay.
Lamy introduced earlier this month the two new Safari colors. Well, actually not this month, but last month in February. They introduced the two new Safari colors for 2024, Violet Blackberry and Pink Cliff. Violet Blackberry also included complementing ink, like the ink went together with the pen, of which it was a dark purple, has some sheen. And then on top of that, a few weeks later, everybody caught wind that Dark Lilac, which was a special edition ink from 2016, which goes for over $100 a bottle if you could find it, it was being reintroduced for 2024 this month. So there was a lot of conjecture, there was a lot of emails going back and forth because people thought, oh, well, is Violet Blackberry then the same thing as Dark Lilac? Is Dark Lilac going to be the same 2024 that it is 2016? And so what happened was people started getting bottles of it and comparing it against swatches from 2016's Dark Lilac and noticed it was different. Significantly to the point that it was less blue and also had a green sheen as opposed to a gold sheen, which was one of the things that was highly desirable for it because not many dark purple super sheeners would sheen gold. It's usually green. So it was a big hot button thing because it isn't the same. And then eventually back and forth between Lamy Corporate, Lamy USA, ended up being that you found out they admitted that they could not get the same red pigment as they used in 2016's version, so that's the reason why it's different. They lament or regret over the fact that they probably should have called it something different because it wasn't exactly the same. So that's where we're at.
but the New York
Then you had-
Times, I mean,
Well, then you had all these people investigating it. Like Fountain Pen Memes
Yes.
was investigating this. And I
Yeah,
was
that's
just-
where I saw it.
I was like,
Fountain Pen Memes was at the
Fountain Pen
forefront of the
Memes.
whole Mont Blanc
Yes.
Gate conspiracy
Yes.
thing, where it's like you're relabeling certain colors, with the
Yep.
different writers' editions, and yeah.
Well, not for nothing though. I'd be pissed off too if you label
be too.
something. Yeah, and then it turns out that it's not what you're labeling it, right? Like,
if you
like-
knew the 2016 version, to me it probably wouldn't matter because I wouldn't have known the difference. But they were showing eBay listings for like $249 for that, $249 for that ink listing.
do you
Crazy.
think that they thought maybe they can get away with it? Is that what the deal is? Like, they're like, oh, you know what? I mean, this was from 2016. It's 2024. Nobody.
no one's
thought
gonna
they
know
were
the
to-
difference.
They're not.
I really think, they know they're very, very good at, I think, knowing their market, and I think that this was a mess up in that they should have right out the gate said that this was something new, but I think that it got away from them before they could properly introduce it. Because a lot of these releases that they do, especially looking at their special editions from previous years, they could launch something and then have it be slightly tweaked or slightly different. Let's say like that all black of, I think it was in 2018, they made the Safari in all black, and it looks so much like the charcoal, but it's just a darker version of black. And then like they reintroduced the original Safaris that was in the Terra and the Savannah Green. So they've done things like this before where they dive back in, but the newer editions of it are slightly different in some way or another. And this is kind of like another way of that happening. But I think because of the fact that it's such a hugely valuable collectible item that all of a sudden if the original formulation of Dark Lilac came back out in the market, those original bottles would not be worth $100 anymore or $200. They would be back to a reasonable $12 because it's available the same way, but that's just not the way that. So I would say it is Dark Lilac 2024, clearly stating that it's not the 2016 version, so that way people aren't buying it. Yeah, they did not, because I think what ended up happening was a lot of these pieces of information, these launches, they get away from the brand so quickly because once information starts spreading out there and the excitement around it is there, people latch on to the first little bits of information and then just start spreading it out there without putting it in context. I think they probably missed an opportunity to be more nuanced in the way that they presented this ink instead of saying reintroducing Dark Lilac. No, it's not the same way. I mean, even Goulet themselves has an article that the title of the article says Lamy Dark Lilac is back, and then they go on to show it and compare it, and just to be like, well, it's not exactly the same, but you're saying that it is because you're saying it's back. It is not back. It is like Pet Sematary when if you guys know the Stephen King story where the cat dies and then it gets buried out in the ancient burial ground and then it comes back to life. Yeah, it's not the same. It is not back.
That was a great analogy, by the way.
Yeah, parallel is totally relevant. Well, did they label it as Dark Lilac 2024?
They're labeling it they're labeling it as just Dark Lilac, and even the part number is just, it actually has the same part number, but it has an extra L at the end of it.
Interesting.
I mean, that's not enough to indicate that it's, you know what I mean? Like if they said Dark Lilac for 2024 would be enough of a differentiation from the 2016 one, right? But just to say it's Dark Lilac, like the McRib. For some reason, the McRib always disappears, comes back, right? If that tastes different or any ingredients change, people are gonna lose their shit. Listen,
same thing with the Shamrock Shake.
Yeah, right. I never tasted that, but the Dark Lilac, if anything was different about it, they definitely should have said something about it, because there are dudes out there and broads out there, since you guys are juicy broads, that will taste it and say it tastes different, even though you're not supposed to consume ink. Motherfuckers out there are very particular in the fountain pen industry. You can't pull no wool over nobody's heads.
Yeah.
That is
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
Like, they're very nitpicky, and they go into all the details.
Yeah.
Those are those very technical people who want to know the pen's weight and size and all that. And yes, they're going to compare
That is
the
stuff we
old
will
ink
not
to the
cover on
new.
the Juicy Broads. Right?
And it's like that's the thing though. It's I'm not a big ink guy. I'm not good at seeing colors that well. But when it comes to fountain pens, if you tell me that it's a Yovo nib, I'm going to discover if it's not. If you tell me that something is, lacquered, like a brass pen is lacquered, but it isn't, I'm going to discover it. So like when it comes to fountain pens, I'm going to discover everything because I'm just so obsessive and anal retentive about that shit. But
And
when
I
it
don't
comes to
think you're
ink,
the
I'm
only
not.
one
So
like
it would have... No, of course not. I'm just the only one loud enough, not dumb enough to be able to go out and complain about it.
I'm gonna
but
lose
people
my
are
mic
going
for
to
a
see it.
second 'cause my computer's going to die in a second here. I have a question though.
Walk and
Do
talk,
you
walk
think
and talk.
that because Lamy was just acquired by Mitsubishi, do you think that got in the way of their press release because they were just more focused on that?
That's a whole other conspiracy thing that I think people were picking up on. Well, what if Mitsubishi Europe wanted to generate some buzz around their acquisition of Lamy by drawing up this Dark Lilac drama piece, and having that out there? But
That would be
I,
really smart.
I think it's just more of a coincidence than anything else.
I think, you know what else I think it is? If they were picked up by Mitsubishi, right, that means decisions and things go through Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi may not be as fountain pen knowledgeable or fountain pen ink knowledgeable as the people they picked it up from. So when it went to the board table, the Mitsubishi guys must have just been like, "It's who the fuck gives a shit? Just put it out as Dark Lilac. It looks like Dark Lilac." They didn't use a chromatography shit to look at it. They were just looking at it and be like, "Yeah, that's good. It looks the same. Send it out there." Right? Because you're talking about huge, like, corporate guys in suits who have no patience or tolerance to listen to suggestions or care about the little details, because they're
nuances.
talking they're talking lots of money, they're talking cars, Listen,
I
if
mean,
you
it was
took
crazy
Dark
that it
Lilac,
happened the same week. Or within
yeah.
a couple, I don't know.
I think the
exact time
Mitsubishi
frame.
thing happened after the whole Dark Lilac
Yeah, it
thing
was just
started
after.
to blow up.
Yeah, but it was like within days. It was like 2 days after or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. The timing is a little fishy though. Now that you bring that up, it is a little.
It is very suspicious.
yeah, you know what? I think it's just one of those things where it's like when you have like a private equity firm in charge of a company, they're going to just make decisions unilaterally. They don't care about the little nuances. They're just going to say, "Oh yeah, that's good enough. Send it out. Let's do this." And they just make their decisions on a broad scale, and no, they're not going to stop to listen to the guy who works in like the ink section of Mitsubishi and be like, no, actually the sheen is. They're going to be like, "Dude, shut the fuck up. Move on. We don't
Is
have
this
time
close
for
enough
this."
to Dark Lilac? It's like, yeah, I guess. It's like, good, ship it.
Yeah,
Get it outta
I'm
here.
thinking that's what it is.
So
But
I
the
mean-
thing, the slight thing though that may actually impact the whole situation over a broader timeline is that this Dark Lilac is not a special edition anymore. It's supposed to be a regular part of the Lamy Inc. lineup. So it's not. I wouldn't necessarily see it as like, oh, they wanted to reintroduce it just to go for a cash grab of something that they know that people want to do. They want to have it as a current staple throughout the foreseeable future to be able to offer Dark Lilac to people all the time. But so I'm like less thinking that it was a malicious sort of thing, and rather that it just was an issue of like not being forthcoming with a more nuanced description of what Dark Lilac 2024 is like, and it just kind of got out of control before they could jump in front of it.
Yeah.
Well, also is I always hate it when limited edition comes out. They push the limited edition. They push the whole, oh, this is, once it's gone. So people buy it because of FOMO. And then, 20 minutes later, they then turn around and create another version of it. So it's like, why did I rush to buy it in the first place? Which is, we had the Pentertainment exclusive Narwhal, or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves nowadays, right? And we did 100. It sold out within 24 hours.
Wow.
And then we're like, wow, it did so well. Let's do another batch. And then we talked, Tom and I talked about it, and we're like, well, if we're going to do another batch, then it's no longer the value of the
Limited
limitedness
of 100
is
pieces
gone.
that were numbered.
It's- Yeah. So you betray the
original
people
Integrity.
the integrity and the people who purchased it because it's limited. You betray them. So I think that Lamy, if they did decide to release a Dark Lilac standard edition and not limited edition, there has to be something different about it so that you don't betray the people in 2016 who bought it because it was limited edition. I mean, there are people out there who buy shit just because it's limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
stockpile it.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps its value now too. So for those people that are selling or hoarding those bottles of dark lilac, they're safe because now they know they have something extra special because of all of this huge attention it's been getting, and the fact that it's still the OG. It's not, it's not part of the regular lineup at all. So
Yeah, but my thing is, why didn't Lamy just turn around and say, hey, listen, we're releasing Dark Lilac. It's not the same. It's the new standard edition Dark Lilac. The limited edition is no longer available, but the regular edition, slightly different sheen, but it's still a beautiful ink, but we're just calling it Dark Lilac. They should have just came out and said that. What was Lamy's response to all of the nerds out there who called him out?
I think it's according to the Times article I was just looking at. I think the official statement was that they regretted the issue, the actual problem of like saying it before, like that it was the same. That they should have made some sort of declaration of that there was a difference between them in their initial communications.
Yeah.
So wait, they did say that it is exactly the same as the 2016 one?
No, they have said
they
it is
was
not.
different.
They acknowledged it, yeah.
No, but did they acknowledge it
after the fact.
before or after everybody created shit
Oh,
about
this
it?
was after, because that's why I'm thinking like this got away from them too quickly. Like there's the way that information spreads on the internet was all of a sudden, like one person sends an email out to a distributor, and then that distributor sends an email out to retailers, and then the retailers, you there's a leak in the boat somewhere where all of a sudden somebody just put something up online, without really getting all of the facts information straight, and just like, oh, Dark Lilac is coming back. Oh, great. It just goes out everywhere without having that like caveat of like, well, we're calling it Dark Lilac, but it actually has this slight little difference with it. Like they didn't. I think it just got way out ahead of them without being able to control it.
Yeah, we lost. It looks like we lost Tom a little bit. He's in a state of
Yeah.
frozen
he's
suspension.
Oh.
But just responding to what I
was
did hear
rambling too
Tom
much.
say, I really think, yeah, the easiest thing to have done was just say Dark Lilac Gen 2, right?
Yeah.
Like
2.0,
just-
something that
yeah,
just
Yeah.
Tom, maybe on the right stuff. My question is always like, there's got to be an ink from another company that has to have some similar properties. And I know that the real diehards are going to be like, no, there's nothing else. But if we could find, or if the ink people, like Mountains of Ink, that website, like I feel like there must be something from another company that is similar that can kind of scratch that itch for some people.
The closest that I found was D'Artramentis Alexander Hamilton was a pretty close match to it. Although if you compare swatches of them against each other, they're still like, I actually probably have it here, so I could probably look it up. But I have the original Lamy Dark Lilac swatch. I was just looking at it, I'm like, ooh, this is good because then I could compare it against the new one.
Sounds like
but
I
that
don't
was-
have the bottle because it's listed on eBay for $250. Just the swatch. I'm just kidding.
There was the one time I do remember I actually sold, or I traded somebody a pen, and they had 2 bottles of dark. I traded a pen, a nice, I think it was like a nice Leonardo pen that I had, and I traded it for 2 bottles of Dark Lilac. And what I ended up doing was I ended up sampling it off and selling it directly on Ink Journal because it was just too valuable for me to just sit on and hold.
That's crazy.
Lori, let me ask you something.
Yes.
How much does this whole thing piss you off, being a newer user of fountain pens? Like, does this bother you at all? Do you care? Do you not care? Because I know that people made a big deal about it. They definitely care. For me, it's kind of just like, oh well,
It doesn't.
it is
It
what it
doesn't
is.
bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Not even a little. And I like ink, but I wasn't into this particular ink. Like, if anything, like some of the limited edition stuff that sells out really quickly. Like I had a little panic attack for the. There was actually controversy over this too. The Platinum Chai 3776 that they did as pre-order because they're calling that limited edition. And there was one girl who was going off like, the it's the shape of heart with the little crystals in the
Right.
finial. So there was the black one that was not limited edition. Then they came out with a white one that was also not limited edition. And then they came out with this really pretty one with chai that, you know, the colors are neutral and beautiful and have that like cafe vibe that everybody loves and everyone's going to want it. And now this one is limited. So there was this one woman in her Instagram stories who was saying, you know, this is kind of ridiculous. Like and then they did a pre-order, and all of the pre-orders were selling out everywhere. I think it's like a 2,000 number. I think it's 2,000 limited.
I think it's 2,000 pieces, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like it's 150 or something super limited. I feel like people will be able to get it. But it's a really beautiful pen. I would have been really sad if I missed that one. Like, I really love that pen. So I did do the pre-order. And I happened to be on vacation when all the hype was happening. And I was actually in Atlas interviewing Brian, and then I came out, you know, we got back to our hotel and my phone was blowing up and it was sold out. It sold out at Atlas while I was interviewing them. And so yeah, I would have been more upset over that than I would over ink. I think it just depends on the person and it depends on the product.
I'm wondering for everybody listening or watching what your opinion on this is. Like for me, I'm like, oh, okay, they got it wrong. It is what it is. Those are two different purples, dude.
They are, but I'm just saying if you want something that's like
Similar.
close enough.
That doesn't seem
I know
close
it's
at
read
all.
backward, but the Archimandris Alexander Hamilton's got it's a dark purple. It's got sheen. You probably can't see that,
Plus,
but
you also have to think about it. Like, this is a swatch that's 2 inches by 2 inches. When this is coming out of a pen, too, it's even less of a difference.
So
I mean,
true.
unless you have a juicy broad. But
Yes. Roll
I-
credits.
yeah, that's the thing about ink is that they can make so many different varieties of colors and hues, but they're all subtly different in some form or another. I do on Ink Journal on the Instagram thing all the time is I do guess the ink, and I get about 15 different varieties of that same color that's just so close, but it's not the same exact color. And it's just amazing. You match them all up and you're like, yeah, I could tell. That one's got just as light, just a little bit more blue. This one's a little bit lighter in saturation. This one's got sheen, or this one's got more shading. They all are very, very, like, it's a study in subtleties. And you have to really understand that in order to appreciate the inks, and especially if you're collecting them and selling them for $200 a bottle. It's kind of like wines. It's like, you know, you have to kind of understand the varieties and what goes into each of them.
Yeah, but when it comes to like inks, like Lori was saying, you know, if you're taking a Q-tip and you're swabbing it, you'll see the difference when you're holding them side by side. But would you notice the difference if you were just writing with a medium nib on a
Probably
piece
not.
of Clairefontaine? Yeah, probably
No.
not, right?
Probably
I
not.
think it would be
That's like-
extremely subtle.
It's like the same argument. I always see people I see people get into heated fisticuffs over which is better between Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. If you put any one of them in front of me and we're playing the same game, I have no fucking idea which one is which console, right?
Right.
But if you look at them side by side and you're like this close to the fucking television, you're like, oh, this one has an extra pixel, so it must be the, you know, this one must be the PlayStation 5 or something like that. So, like, when it comes to inks, for me, I'm not specific. Shit, when it comes to video games, I'm not even like that, right? So, I mean, I just get them all because that way I can play the exclusive games. But for inks, I have a very bland palette of colors. I get black.
Blue.
That's it.
It's just
But would you feel that way about a pen, Roy? Would a pen upset you, like if the trim was different and you thought you were getting one thing?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
piss me off.
That
That would
would.
piss me off. I would lose it. Yeah, 100%.
Would lose
And then
it.
I'd call Tom
you know he
and
would
I'd
lose
complain
it.
about
He
it.
really would.
Yeah. And then after I call Tom and complain about it, I'm going to call Vanessa
Yeah,
and complain about it too.
it's true.
and
Maybe
then
we
I
swear
re-
about it on the Pentertainment podcast.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then
Yeah,
I'll
taste.
even
Everybody
Yeah.
ends up hearing about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, do you remember
and
when
then,
Yoseka did their exclusive sailor pen, Yoseka Home, and they had an employee who designed it, and what they ordered was like the brighter gold and a bi-colored nib, and we had to pre-order, and it was really expensive. It was more than they anticipated it was going to be because they used 3 colors on the pen as opposed to 2. They weren't anticipating the price, so they had to do a pre-order. It was like this big thing, and then everybody still wanted it. The people who wanted it pre-ordered it, and then when they came in, The first wave got sent out to people, and the nib, it was a champagne gold. It wasn't like a bright gold, and the nib was a solid gold color. It wasn't by color. Sailor had made the mistake and sent them all out. So it was like, I felt so bad for Yoseka. I personally liked the champagne. I kept mine, but I would have liked the bicolored nib, but then they gave everybody like a 10% credit back, and they were fantastic from the retail standpoint. They were amazing with their customer service on that. But that was like a big, in some people, it really mattered. Like I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
100%.
10% back.
Yeah.
I actually like the more subtle champagne. I miss the bicolored nib, but mine wrote so nice that I'm like, I'm just going to go with this and just keep, it was a happy accident. But some people were really fired up about it.
Yeah,
That's not what they
absolutely.
ordered. And it was expensive.
You know what sucks? You know what sucks though is like Sailor is the one that fucked up, but the retailer has to eat the extra
that's not
10%.
cool.
Now there's
No, I
yeah,
think
they're still
Sailor
making
took
money,
care
but
of them. I think Sailor.
Oh, yeah?
So you had the option, like you could send it in, and then Sailor would, you sent them back to Sailor, and I think they covered the postage and everything. Sailor made good on it. I just think it was still a nightmare for them.
Sure,
with
absolutely.
returns and credits and all that. I felt so bad for them, but
Yeah, because people don't stop and think about the process of how the pen goes from Sailor and ends up at the retailer and then ends up with the customer. People always they complain straight to the people they bought it from, which is what I do too. I buy something from a store and it's fucked up. I blame the guy. I blame the cashier. I bought it off at Bed Bath and Beyond. Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with this soap? It smells like a noodler's pen. Why? Why are you selling me
but
this?
more importantly, what is wrong with you that you would be selling me this soap?
Right.
And they're like,
This is
dude,
clearly
I don't
your
make the
fault.
soap. I don't make the soap. Stop yelling at me.
it's like,
Yeah.
can I go on my break now?
Yeah.
Can I go?
I make $8.50 an hour, so fuck you.
Sorry about your soap, Roy.
Yeah. It's like I shower at least once a month, and I need this soap to work. So I mean, this listen, we got to start wrapping it up. But this was a very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. A lot of stuff I didn't even know about and whatnot, but a lot I can relate to. And everybody listening, I'd like to know how you perceive this whole thing. What is your opinion? Would it bother you? Would it not bother you? And what is, more importantly, what would be a suitable resolution for this? And I want to know from everybody listening or watching, what is your suitable resolution? And before we sign off, I also want to know what your resolution to this would be acceptable. And Vanessa, what would your resolution be that would be acceptable? And Tom, same thing.
Vanessa, why don't you go first?
I think an apology would be the biggest thing to do. I mean, I know it, you have to kind of suck it up and do an apology, but I think that would be the biggest fix is, hey, we apologize. We should have been more clear about this. We should have named it something different or do a version 2.0 and fix the problem, basically. Just, yeah. There's a lot of pissed off people
I
out
have a
there.
question. Tom, were you saying that the dark lilac came with one of the pens, like in a gift set? I missed that part.
So back in 2016, they introduced a Safari called Dark Lilac. So it's this really nice dark purple matte finish pen with black clip, black nib, black trim, and they sold it with the accompanying ink, similar to how they do it with 2024 now with the violet blackberry and the pink cliff. They have a complementing color that goes along with it. So they packaged it together, and when that edition sold out, I mean, basically it was like two of the most popular Lamy releases in like the last 10 years. It kind of spurred this whole special edition Lamy thing and kept it going for as many years as in between. I mean, they were doing limited editions before every year, but that's what really sparked a lot of interest in these yearly limiteds and built up a lot of anticipation around it. So, but I think that's also still very desirable too. If somebody wanted to buy just the pen, those probably go for, I would probably say it would be like at least $100 for the pen itself.
Wow.
because it's
But I
such
was
a
talking
highly
about
desirable.
the 2024 version, the dark lilac. I guess the reason I'm asking is because I would probably be more upset if I bought the pen with the ink, assuming that it was the same dark lilac. Then I would feel like they would have more explaining to do. But if I bought the pen separately and then, the dark lilac, I guess to Vanessa's point, I would say an apology would be great. And then if people were unhappy with the ink, if they took the ink back, that would be something I would be looking, if I was like really disappointed with the ink that I got because I thought it was the 2016 version.
Tom, what about you?
I'm kind of old-fashioned, so I think it would be appropriate for a public flogging, possibly in a stockade,
Okay,
with
I
a,
was
with a
thinking
bullwhip.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocks.
Oh, a tar and feathering. Yes, I have not seen one of those in my lifetime, so
We're overdue.
It's time.
Yeah.
Funny.
So
joking, of course, joking.
right.
course.
So I'm really curious about how you think that this would be resolvable from a retailer's standpoint, because since you work for one of the bigger retailers, how would you say that any action by Lamy, what do you suggest that would be an acceptable resolution?
Well, first of all, from the standpoint of a retailer, your hands are clean if you didn't take any orders for this yet. I know a lot of the European dealers who got this first had to cancel like 80% of their orders that they got after it started to leak out that this wasn't the same thing. So it's unfortunate, but the thing is I hate taking pre-orders. That's just not a policy that's done at Gold Spot for pretty much everything, because you don't know what could happen. And it's these kinds of things that will create giant headaches that could just have been avoided by simply taking the bottle out or listening to what's going on everywhere else and being like, hey, is this really the same thing? Testing it, and then bringing those findings to view, because you don't know if that's the manufacturer could have been wrong. Sometimes there's things that, like the Sailor issue, that they had one prototype in mind, and then all of a sudden the whole full production comes, and lo and behold, something's a little different here. And we've had that happen before with the Sailor British Racing Green special edition at Gold Spot, and that was no issue because of the fact that when we had the prototype, we took 0 pre-orders on it. We waited until the actual pen came in to photograph to double check it, photograph everything, and make sure that this is the one that we're going with. And what happened was it went from being a split cap band. Usually the Sailor Pro Gears will have, well, not usually, but some of them will have 2 cap bands, a thick one and a thin one, and then material in between. And that was the prototype that was signed off and agreed upon. But what we actually got was one single cap band that went all the way down to the bottom lip of the cap, which, I mean, loved it. It was amazing when we saw it. We're like, you know what? This even feels more like a vintage car that has British Racing Green on it. So we kept it, but thankfully had not promised anybody anything, and we were able to put it out there as the final version. So that's
really interesting. I didn't think of that.
it's a way that you kind of insulate yourself from those issues happening.
Right.
too.
But you're talking about the resolution. You're talking about the resolution from the standpoint of a retailer fixing it. I'm talking about how do you think Lamy should fix it? Right. I know how you would go about doing it. You'd bend over backwards and you'd refund. You'd do whatever it takes as the retailer, because that's how Gold Spot is. I'm talking about what do you think Lamy should do?
Well, I think, for starters, the statement that they've made where they clearly came out and said, hey, you know what, sorry, this got a different pigment in it, that the original red pigment was discontinued. That's a start. I think, that other than that, I think really the only thing that they could do is just make sure this is not something that they do going forward, because I know there's another really popular Lamy ink that's also selling for $100 per bottle, is the Petrol that came out like the year after Dark Lilac. So if they were to do something like that again, they clearly have to work on their communication of like, okay, this is Petrol, but this is Petrol 2024. It's a new edition that's just going to be regular, and it's slightly different in these bullet points below. Not just simply say, Petrol is back, and here's a picture of the bottle without any swatch, which is basically what they did from the get-go. and it's just and that's just they really just need to do it better going forward. I think pretty much saying that, at least admitting that there was a mistake and being regretful about it, but the key thing is to make sure that you do it better going forward with future releases, that if they bring back anything else.
So Vanessa, just to summarize, you think an apology, you're on the same page, Lori. Tom, you think that what they did is enough, but just make sure they don't do it again. I'm going to tell you what I think now, okay? Because I'm a little bit of an asshole when it comes to shit like this. I think they need to refund every single person who bought that ink, and then they need to send out to everybody that they refunded a new bottle that's rebranded that says Dark Lilac Gen 2. That's it.
Yeah.
Or if they don't want to do the whole refund
I do
thing,
think
because
the
listen,
refund. I agree with the refund part. Because
because if I
bought
fucked
something
something
you
up
didn't
like
think.
that, if I fuck something up like that, I'm gonna just be like, all right, this is on me. I'm gonna eat this shit, right? Everybody who, I just got a thumbs up emoji on my screen somehow.
Yeah, I
That was
just
weird.
saw like that was weird.
I didn't do that.
I didn't do that either.
So
I mean, that
if
was weird.
if I fuck something up like that, I'm gonna make sure that people know that I know I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You guys all get your money back.
The Riverside AI apparently thought you were spot on with that comment.
Right. If I fuck that up, I'm going to make sure everybody knows that I know I fucked up, and I'm going to make it right. Everybody gets their money back, and then we're going to rebrand everything, and we're going to, because I wouldn't even want to do a recall, because now people who have the ink in their possession now have to deal with mailing it back or whatever. I don't want them to deal with
just
that. I would
refund
say,
them.
what a cute little dog.
Yeah,
I would just
it's
refund
fluffy.
everybody, make sure they get a new bottle that's branded Dark Lilac 2.0, and then sell Dark Lilac 2.0. You lose money on it, then that's just too bad. You got to lose money on it to make things right. That's the way I think, but I might be a little bit of a dick when it comes to that stuff. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
I don't know.
I think they should eat the costs, and they should refund and apologize for sure. And then you know that they fucked up. They need to suffer for it. I mean, that's what's got to happen.
And I'll tell you something. If they did that, if they went out and said, listen, we know we messed up. We're going to make it right. Here's how we're going to do it. Everybody email us with your copy of your receipt that you bought it. We're going to send you a new one, and we're going to refund you. I'll tell you what, 0 people will have an issue with that, and everybody will respect them for it. Everybody will be like, you know what? Yeah, they did mess up, but they did the right thing. I'm not afraid to buy from them again.
Right.
Yeah,
You know? That's the way I see it.
I would agree.
And couple it with the public flogging, and you're golden.
And some
And
tar.
not
PR nightmare
don't
averted.
Yeah. Don't forget the tar and feathers.
Yeah, tar and feather them. This needs to
Yeah.
happen.
I have a
You know what's even
question
worse?
for you guys.
It's like sugar water and bees.
Oh.
What's the
poor
question you
ants.
have,
Will
Lauren?
you come on to the Juicy Broad show?
Absolutely.
Sure.
100%.
And Tom.
Vanessa,
You want to do it
Tom,
right
Tom
after?
too.
We'll do it right after this. I have another hour. You know?
No,
Yeah,
we're
a
live.
s-
Our show
a
is live.
special-
We'll-
yeah,
yeah, we'll do
interact
it.
with our-
We'll do it,
with
yeah.
our people.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I think that'll
cool.
be
Let's
fun.
do it.
We'll have a good time.
Okay. We could do it right now if you want, after we end
Just
this.
go
Oh, no,
live
I can't
go
do it
live
right
on
now. I
YouTube.
got-
Yes, you can.
Spontaneous live.
I got people coming over in like 10 minutes.
We'll
so.
have them over too.
Yeah.
Get them on the camera.
I have dinner at Peter Luger's tonight at 19:45 hours, but other than that, I'm free. You know.
Oh, well, we could
So-
do
Our
an
people
impro.
will
But
talk
listen-
to our people. We'll set something up.
Yeah, we'll definitely set something up. I'm looking forward to that.
Me
I'm
and
looking forward to
Tom
that.
will
So
set it up.
yeah, Tom's my logistics guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I fuck shit up so much, and then I'll just be like, Tom, I fucked up. What do I do? And then he handles all the logistics stuff. So, but listen, I want to thank everybody for joining us for episode number 189 of the PenBoyRoy Pentertainment podcast. I had such a great time. And Lori, I want to thank you, and Vanessa, as usual, thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you for
being
having
here.
us. It's really
Oh,
fun.
absolutely. It was, yeah, absolutely. And everybody, make sure you email us at pentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com. Give us your opinions on the topic that we discussed today. And don't forget to buy shit at Gold Spot Pens using the affiliate link using coupon code Titanium. Okay? Do it.
Go buy
Get
some
rid of those
shit.
Retro 51 Rainforest pens. Bryce actually texted me during the show saying you don't have to read it this week, you know. So,
But it's already been done.
But
yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
it's
it's
a free
already-
throw in there. Little bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go, though, I do want you lovely ladies to plug shamelessly whatever it is that you guys want to plug, even if it's an affiliate link or a different retailer, whatever it is, just plug away, starting with Juicy Broad Lori.
Juicy Broad Lori. No, follow us every Monday on the Juicy Broad Pen Show YouTube channel. It's a separate show. We broadcast at 4 p.m. every Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Then I always say Texas time. It's 3 p.m. for you,
3
right,
p.m. It's
Vanessa?
just an hour, yeah.
Just an hour. Yeah, and then my YouTube channel is Time with Tata, like Tata, T-A-T-A, Time with Tata. You can have a lot of fun with that one. But yeah, so that's the YouTube channel. And Vanessa, you're up next, girl.
Juicy Broads, 3 p.m. Central Time. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Vanessa_Langton, Langton. I post daily, pretty much. There's a lot going on in here.
Yeah, she's really good on Instagram.
There's a lot going on in here that has to just be purged, so it goes to Instagram.
Nice. Nice. Vanessa, do you have any affiliate links that you want to talk about just before you go?
I have two. If you want to shop over at Esterbrook, I think it's esterbrookpens.com. If you use Vanessa10, you get 10% off your whole purchase. And if you go to Girologio, what's their website? Girologio.com or whatever.
Girologio, is that the one that Bryce mentioned? It was girologiomade.com.
Girologiomade.com. Vanessa10 will also get you 10% off there. So use the
Very
coupon
nice.
codes, people. Use them.
And I have
Save money.
I have Atlas Time with Tata for 10%.
Atlas Time. I'm sorry, one more time.
I'm sorry, Atlas Stationery. I'm an affiliate with them. So if you use Time with
Okay.
Tata at checkout, you'll save 10% on most items. Not Twisbees, not Sailors, not
Most items.
Galen Leather.
The same brands that
the same
we
ones
have
that
to
don't
have
have
as
gold
caveats on our sponsorship read, yes.
All right, so good. So make sure you guys check out Atlas Stationaires, and Atlas Stationaires at checkout. Make sure you use coupon code Time with Tata, spelled Time with common spelling, and Tata, Tata, at checkout for an additional savings on all products on the Atlas Stationery website. Some exclusions applying, and then go over to Esterbrook and use coupon code Vanessa10 at checkout for an additional savings on all the products on the Esterbrook website. And also go to giorlogiomade.com. Check out the stuff that we talked about in the sponsorship. Again, use coupon code Vanessa10 at checkout for an additional savings on all the products on the giorlogiomade.com website. Save yourself some money. Help out your influencers that you watch to get information. And that is all I have. Thanks again for listening. I love you guys. Be well. Be safe.
Stay inky.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Toodaloo.